What's up, everyone? It's Emorja, and I got one of my brothers here, Mr. Franklin Willis, and we're gonna just kick it up for a little bit. Franklin, how you doing, man?
I'm blessed. I'm thankful and just happy to be here.
Yeah, for a quick second, when you said that, reminded me of Charlie Wilson when he has that song "I'm Blessed." You sound like him.
Charlie is a tenor. Charlie can
I
hit
know,
some
right?
alto notes. I'm down in the baritone bass
Well, you and my family
section.
then.
Amen.
Listen, no, man, I get it. I know some of y'all may be wondering like why we got the same sweater on, but we'll talk about that in a second, though. Uh,
Yes.
so now, where you grow up, man?
I grew up, born and raised here in Nashville, Tennessee. I
Oh,
like to tell folks I am a for real Southern gentleman. I really
yeah.
was born and raised here. My mom actually was born in a little small city, Fayetteville, Tennessee. Like literally grew up on the farm and that whole
Really?
thing. Yeah.
Oh,
Nashville, Tennessee, born and raised, did my schooling here. Went to Nashville School of Arts in high school, and then went to University of Tennessee at Chattanooga and flunked out there, basically.
what you do? How you flunk out of that? And music is
I
your okay.
went.
Tell
I
me what
wasn't
happened.
ready. You
Okay.
know how college is not for everybody. As soon as you get out, I was
Yeah.
too busy just trying to be a socialite and just living it up. And one of my
Okay.
professors, shout out to Dr. Roland Carter.
Oh,
Everybody,
Roland Carter. Man, let me text him
yes,
real
I had. He was
quick.
my sight singing professor. He grabbed me. He's like, "Hey, you playing around? You need to get it together."
That sounds like him too.
He said some other stuff
Oh,
too,
I
but
believe it.
we'll keep it G-rated. And he was like, "You have a gift, but you playing around with your gift. I need you to get it
Yeah.
together." And
Yeah.
so I went to University of Memphis, did an audition, got a scholarship there, and music education is my field.
Okay.
And I just love teaching and reaching students and teachers through music. And
Yeah.
so that's the really short story because
Yeah.
I'm very long-winded.
Uh
But
oh.
um,
Most teachers usually are because we have so much we got to say to y'all understand what we're talking about.
absolutely.
Nah,
But
I get it. But Roland Carter, like woman's Roland Carter, out of all the people, like what was it like working with him? And for those who don't know, he's the man who wrote the famous arrangement of "Lift Their Voice and Sing" that we usually sing in February. That a lot of choirs outside of those who are black, but across the world, they sing this song. But tell us, yeah, how was it like working with him?
well, in my high school experience, we did mostly madrigals and classical
Yeah.
pieces. I didn't really get to experience black music other than in the black church and what my mom and dad played. And so when I get to college
Okay.
and everybody's like telling me, you don't know who Roland Carter is. I'm like, no, I don't know who it is. Not knowing that I had already sang his arrangements and did all these things. When we see
Uh,
composers,
yeah.
we think they're like long and gone.
And they're dead.
We don't think that they're living and alive. And so he asked about three or four of us to come to one of his rehearsals for his community choir,
Yeah.
the Chattanooga Choral Society for African American Preservation of for the preservation of African American song.
Hmm.
And I walked into that rehearsal and my mind was just blown because we're doing that. We're
Yeah.
singing, Undine Smith Moore. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what is all this music? And,
Yeah.
and the music was speaking to me because it's my music.
Exactly.
And so he just showed me that there's such a lineage of history and culture in the classical realm
Yeah.
of African American music.
Yeah.
And so working with him just inspired me to truly become a music teacher and do it at the elementary level and inspire folks with our music, our history, our culture,
Yeah.
and give them ways to incorporate that into their classroom in an authentic way.
Man, that's wild. And so, what made you go to the elementary route versus working with adults?
Well, I wanted to be a high school choir director, right? That
Okay.
was like my super dream. And in my student teaching, I got to work with Dr. Galen Robinson in Memphis, Tennessee. He had the choir.
Okay.
Central High School was like the school. It was all black students mostly, and got to work with him. And I said, I want to do this. But then I did my student teaching with this man named Anthony Richardson.
Okay.
And I went in his classroom.
Anthony Richardson.
He
Okay.
had his kids doing orff. He had them singing. He had them moving. He
Yeah.
had them drumming. He had them doing all of these things. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's what I want to
Change the whole
do.
game. Yeah,
That's it right there, because you're not just stuck to being a choral person. You can
exactly.
do choral, you can do instrumental, you can do movement. So all of that just really, really like got me super excited for teaching. And so once I saw that, it was a wrap. I knew I
Yeah.
wanted to do elementary music.
Yeah, and you see, man, I recently just had this experience. Actually, this time last year, I was beginning a class, and it was the first black professor I've ever had in my life. And
Mm,
I told him, I said, I appreciate you and I value you because I didn't get that growing up. So the kids who have you as a teacher, if only they understood how much of a jewel they have, because there's something that the black culture, the early teaching of the black culture for students, especially at that age, is so important because I didn't like in music. We had the recorders, the real
yeah.
basic stuff. If it wasn't whatever came out, we did it. Although it didn't always make a lot of sense to us at the time, but the essence of black music was something that we didn't have.
No.
And like I've seen what you've done, like looking at your videos, and I wish I would have had that growing up. And then I guess that's what I even think about, like Memphis. Well, not Memphis. Sorry, Nashville is a place where you have a lot of music. Of course, there's country music and whatnot, but in the area that you work in, are there a lot of other black teachers who do what you do, or are you like the only one?
Well, truth of the matter is, there's not many African American males in education, period.
Yeah, I
And
know.
then you add elementary music to that.
Yeah,
It's not many of us. Many of us are either choir directors or
yeah,
band directors. And so, to answer that question, no.
yeah,
It's like you're a unicorn in the room, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and then
Exactly.
some people only expect you to do hip hop or only expect
Exactly.
to do gospel. And
Yeah,
so when you're able to show them, hey, no, that's a part of me,
yeah,
but I also give my students opportunities to experience these other cultures and other music,
yeah,
because that's what we are as musicians. And it seems like every week in the elementary music space, we're finding out, wait a minute, that's a racist song. That's a minstrel song.
yes. And a lot of
Just
people
because
don't
we've
know
been
that.
teaching it and singing it for so many years doesn't mean that it's a part of the curriculum.
Exactly.
And so just unpacking all of these things that we thought to be
Yeah,
true and learning that, wait a minute, that's
yeah,
not true.
yeah. No, you're right, and it's interesting because I did an interview with a brother from Chicago, and he did a presentation. He has like the hip hop museum, mobile museum. So I watched one of his interviews, and it's interesting because he went back to the Little Rascals, and there was a scene in there where I believe it's Buckwheat. So they put a rope around Buckwheat's neck and they pull
Mm,
him into a hole. And of course, this came on, I guess, Little Rascal like the 20s, 30s, 40s ish. And it's interesting because shows like that kids watch are images that they see at such a young age, and they think it's innocent, they think it's fun, but in reality, it's not. And you don't really notice that kind of stuff until one, you get older, and people bring it to the limelight. But just like you said, there are so many songs. There's like this one song, um, "Shoe Fly Don't Bother Me." That's one that a lot of
yes,
people don't really know about. I didn't know about that until
I
maybe like
didn't
a few
either.
years ago, and then didn't even know that someone said that Mickey Mouse was a minstrel, as well too. And I was like, y'all got to be kidding me. So then I started looking at some more stuff, and I'm like, man. And then you also look at the person who created them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, is everything as innocent as we think it is? But at what age do you start teaching kids about racism? That's a big question too, because we do a lot of work here with the Notre Dame Children's Choir, and we sort of try to ease it on them. But on one side of my mind, I'm like, well, I know we're trying to be very easy and very delicate about it. I said, but how deliberate do we need to be with this? Do we need to treat them like adults? Do we need to treat them like kids? Because they have social media, they have TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, so they see these things and they're not ignorant.
No,
Um, but yeah,
no.
what is your take on that? Like, how early do you think we should talk about that with kids?
Well, I think we got to start very soon, very
Yeah,
early,
yeah,
because it's so important that they see and that they learn the truth.
yeah,
And many times as adults, and I do it too to my son, we dumb things down.
yeah,
Like we tell them things like, oh, they're not ready for that.
yeah,
Yes, they are.
yeah.
I vividly remember teaching a lesson about Martin Luther King Jr. And if you haven't watched the Kid President MLK video,
I have
it's on
not.
YouTube. it's just absolutely amazing, and it's easy for kids to hear him. We can tell them about MLK all day, but when they hear another kid talking about MLK, they hear it in a different lens.
That is very true.
And one girl, after we watched the video, she raised her hand and she said, "So, Mr. Willis, if this was back in the time, like in the 60s when MLK was living,
Mhm.
you wouldn't be able to be my teacher right now." And this is a little
No,
white girl.
no,
And I told her, I said, "You're absolutely right." And
true.
the thing for me is people want a step one, you do this. Step two, you do this.
Yeah,
Step
it's
three,
not
you do
that.
this.
It's not that. We don't have a 12
It's
step
not
system.
that. You're going to have to get in there. You're going to have to get raw and real, and you're going to have to be able to share your experience with your kids. And that's
Yeah,
the thing I think as teachers, sometimes we feel that we have to be the expert in the room.
yeah,
But it's really the opposite of that. Students want to
exactly,
see that we're learning too,
exactly.
and that they're on this journey of education with us.
So I want to shift this for a quick second. Now, where did we get these sweaters from? Because I really have no idea.
Yeah. So Prince Rhythm Company is a line of shirts and apparel for music teachers or educators who want to show their swag. Our top seller is Lift Every Voice.
Okay.
Um, and it's in the shirt, it's in the hoodie, it's in the denim jacket, it's in the hat, but it's all about thinking and acting and change. So
Hmm.
that's my tagline: think, act, and change. So it's one thing to have that thought like, "Ooh, I want to do this," or "I want to impact the community," or "I want to teach this song." You
Yeah.
can think all day, but until you
Thank
put
you.
that action about it,
Yeah.
when you put that action in, and you may fail, you may mess up, it may not go right, but guess
Yeah.
what? That's a learning opportunity for you to do it right the next time.
Yeah. Have you
And
ever
then
failed, man?
once, huh?
Have you ever failed?
Are you kidding me? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
I failed as a vocalist. I have failed as a teacher. I have failed as a friend. But it's those things that failure teaches you the steps that you should address to be a better friend, to be a better teacher, to be a
Yeah.
better musician.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people get stuck, and I'm including myself in this, in being a perfectionist.
Yeah.
You want everything to be perfect. You want everything to align,
Yeah.
and everything has to look right. I got to have the right filter. I
Exactly.
got to do
Oh,
all of this stuff. The
generational
truth,
things. Yeah.
but the true thing is, people want to connect with you. They
Yeah.
want to know who you are. And
Yeah.
so through this t-shirt line, I've been able to express, who I am. I feel my tagline is more than a music teacher. I do
Yeah.
more than teach music.
Yeah.
Teaching music is not who I am, it's what I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's really how the t-shirt was born. I wore it, and I put it on Instagram, and other teachers was like, "Yo, where can I get that shirt from?"
Yeah.
And then from there, it just kept going. So what we got on right now is the music is music. It's from
Yeah.
last year, but
Oh,
he
I'm
got
sorry. I got the old stuff. My bad.
you you got the men of hip hop on: Tupac, Snoop, Jay Z,
Yeah.
Biggie, and then I have on the women of hip hop: Missy, Cardi,
Okay.
Nicki, and Kim. And
Okay.
so these are the people that changed the game for rap, especially
Exactly.
for women, rappers.
Yeah.
Nicki and
Exactly.
Cardi, they changed the game. So
Yeah. And that is very true. I mean, if I can even think back to like Queen Latifah or Lauryn Hill, the Fugees, it was
yes.
all different. Yeah, the era is completely different, man. And tell me this: what has been one of your most favorite moments of teaching? It can be anyone.
Wow. I would have to say I had a after school choir, and we went to my home church that I grew up in.
Okay.
And we're talking like this is a black church, y'all, like
Yeah.
North Nashville, like praise and worship, hallelujah,
Yeah.
organ going, all of that. And I brought my students and their families to my church, and we performed for the congregation. And one of the songs we did was "Rise Up" by Audrey Day.
Uh-huh.
And one of my soloists, this is one of my babies, she got up there and just let loose, let her just, the spirit took over.
Yeah.
And I'm up there conducting, and my life just went in front of me. Like, wow, this is the same choir stand in which I
Mm.
sang in as a kid. And
Yeah.
then now my students are singing,
Yeah.
and then the church is being impacted by their gifts. And
Yeah.
so it was just like a full moment of just gratefulness and just humbleness and like in the spirit. It was an amazing experience.
Who who's on your playlist? Who do you have on your playlist like on a regular basis? Who do you listen to?
Whew. Common, actually.
I haven't listened to some of his stuff in a minute.
Black America Again is probably my favorite album of his.
Okay.
Just because he spits so much truth
Yeah.
and he spits it in a way that just resonates with me. I love
Yeah.
Common. I love John Legend, of course.
Always. Always. And I didn't know
He
that Legend wasn't his real last name. Did you know that already?
Oh no, I didn't. I thought it
Yeah.
was like
No,
something
it's
else.
John Stevens. It's
John Stevens, yeah.
I didn't even know. I'm like, how did everybody else know except me? I remember like a month ago. I was like, you got to be kidding me. But yeah, it's John Stevens. I was like, okay, oh
And
cool,
my wife, she's a huge Stevie Wonder fan. So
okay,
Stevie is always in some type of Spotify playlist that she's created.
okay.
Of course, Beyonce and
uh,
Jay-Z. I mean, I love them.
right.
And I'm trying to venture out and like find new indie artists
Yeah,
to enjoy, but
yeah.
you got your favorite tracks that you just like to
I
listen
know,
to.
man. It's so bad. It's like I'm gonna listen to something new that all of a sudden I just default to, somebody I already know. I can go to Nas or Yellow
Yes.
Pain or whatever. And recently I just came. I became aware of Speech. That's the name of the group, or the
Hmm.
person. But Speech. So the person who founded Speech is also one of the who's been part of Arrested Development. And I heard this one song and I was like, man, I said this thing is hot. And the song is maybe like from 2001, but I love it. I love it. And plus, I mean, I love music. I love dancing. So that's my workout stuff.
Oh yeah, we know you love dance because we see them IG reels. What was
And
that? You did one, the neck bone is connected to the head bone. And
and
you
that came
was
out of.
lit on that one. You were
Let me
like,
tell you,
hey.
man, that came out of. So I was watching the Claire Ward Singers, and I was like, I said, and they had it much faster, like a Pentecostal tempo, like 1,005 beats per minute. But I was like, let me see what I can do, because I have this affinity for the low country style of music from the Carolinas, and so I said, how can I mix these two together? And honestly, I recorded the first part of that video, which was just like the 4 videos of me singing. I recorded that back like in, I think I was like early 2020, and I never did anything with it. I just let it sit there. I
Wow.
came back to it, and I was like, let me try something a little different, see if I can make this happen.
That
And
was
so,
lit. That was
yeah,
so lit.
I appreciate that. It takes a lot of work to do that. If people only knew, like what we do, there's so much work that goes in behind it. They only see the 45-minute performance, but if they knew that it took a semester to get these
Mm.
kids to do the right thing.
And that is the piece with this virtual teaching when people put out these virtual videos
Man,
of like all the choir, like the members of the choir, and they
yeah,
coming in and coming
yeah,
out. And principals are asking music teachers to recreate that. And it's
okay,
like, wait a minute.
yeah.
Hold on. They hired an editing team,
Thank
they
you,
hired a video team.
thank
Like
you.
it's a whole team that created that.
Yes, give me the money and I'll help you out. Let them do the work.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. No, I get it. But listen, brother, I appreciate you. I do. I just want to just talk, just so people know who you are, to see what amazing things you're doing over there in Nashville. So I'm coming back. Actually, I want to come in January to come get some food.
Come on
'Cause
down to Nashville.
it's on like a 6-hour drive, man. I have some
I
folks
got
down
you.
there. Listen, I'm gonna hold you to your word now.
I'm for real.
Okay, all right, bet. Well, listen, man. And what's your website? Where can people go to buy your stuff?
So you can follow me at F Willis Music. You can visit my website at www.fwillismusic.com. And my apparel company is Prince Rhythm Company. So at Prince Rhythm Company on Facebook and Instagram, and then princerhythmcompany.com to purchase.
Sounds good. All right, everybody. That's it for today. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, brother.